Girls with Goals, brought to you by Neutrogena Mask Collection. Results in just 15 minutes.
Hello and welcome to Girls with Goals. I'm Niamh Maher. This week's episode is brought to you by Neutrogena. Thank you to everyone first off who got involved in our competition. We had an amazing response as well to our event with Nicola Hughes, and our competition winner is going to be announced at this event on Wednesday, the 21st of August. We're having it in L's Bar in Dublin. It's going to be amazing. We're very excited. So thank you to everybody who entered, and I can't wait to talk about the winner of that. Right, down to business. I'm delighted to welcome my guests to studio today. Ellen Weber and Grace O'Sullivan are the founders of Glitz and Pieces, an online accessories boutique. Grace and Ellen, you're very welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
So excited. So excited to have you in. So we're going to start off the same way we start off every show, and it's with our game. So it's called 6 Words or Less, and you have to describe yourself in 6 words or less. So it's for any of our viewers and our listeners of the show and our readers of Her as well who may not know who you are. So I was kind of thinking about whether to get you to describe the company in 6 words or less, but then I just didn't. I just asked for you to just describe yourselves, and then we'll get into the company afterwards.
Brilliant.
You're individuals as well.
Yeah.
So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Go on.
Okay. 6 words. So this is difficult for me because I never really, I suppose it would have been easier if I could do it about Ellen.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought hard about it last night. So perfectionist, passionate, risk taker, stressful, and committed.
Oh, they're great words.
Yeah.
I love that. Stressful and risk taker kind of go hand in hand though.
Yeah,
at the
I'm
same
just
time.
stressful.
You gotta take risks though.
Yeah.
But that can be incredibly stressful.
Yes.
Ellen, 6 words or less.
Creative, ambitious, positive, passionate, and outgoing.
Nice. I like those. Great words. Did you guys talk about the words that you
No,
were
we didn't. No, I only got
you
the
not?
email, I think. I only looked at the email. Like, I looked at the email this morning. Grace like, oh yeah, just remember you have to have 6 words, and I was just like, oh crap. So I was doing it today. Now.
Yeah,
So
it's always a weird one when people have to kind of confront themselves.
Yeah.
But I think it's generally a good way to kind of get to know people as well very, very quickly in 5 minutes. So obviously passionate was one of your words.
Yeah.
You're obviously both incredibly passionate about the business that you run, but I suppose I want to go back a little bit and talk about it because it's such an interesting story about how you got to where you are with the company. But before you even went into business together, before you called yourselves business partners or the company even had a name, you guys knew each other growing up, right?
Yes, so we were in the same circle of friends in secondary school. Okay. So we have a big group of girls, and it was funny because I remember we were sitting on a green once and we were like, what do you want to do after school? And all the girls were saying what they wanted to do, and Ellen said, I want to own my own business. And I said, oh my God, I have the same vision. Since I was a little girl, always wanted to own my own business.
Really?
And we thought no more of it.
No, it wasn't planned. Like, you know, some people when they start a business, like they do the business plan and they kind of do a lot of thought and like market research into the industry, and that was not the case with us. We both had the same course on our CAO, which was our first choice.
Which we didn't know either.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then we both got into the course, and it was on business and entrepreneurship out in IDT in Dunleary, and part of the course was to set up a business.
Yeah.
And that's when we got really, really close because we were in the same college course.
Yeah.
So we were like...
And like you said that you both, since you were really young, wanted to own your own business. But Ellen, was that something that you kind of developed because you saw somebody run a business and you thought, that's what I want to do? Or where did it come from with you?
It's funny because I was like in secondary school, I was dead set on being an art teacher. Like I had done my portfolio, everything. And then it came to the end of 5th year, summertime. And I don't know, I think it was just the likes of, I think The Only Way is Essex and stuff was on the television at that time. And Samantha Fairs and Amy Childs and stuff. And they had all these boutiques in that were kind of like, they were working and they were young girls. And I kind of just had that, oh, I'd love to do something like that. Like a one-stop shop was kind of my dream, like what I thought, like you could come in and get your hair, buy your clothes, your accessories, like one-stop shop for everything. And then I just went into my career guidance counsellor teacher. I was like, I really want to own a one-stop shop. And then she pointed me in the direction of the course, and I went to the open day and absolutely loved it. So now,
And was that kind of the same with you, Grace? Was it kind of like wanting the ability to work for yourself, or because it's definitely not for everybody being your own boss as well.
No.
But like, where did it come from with you when you were young?
When I can remember being like 6 or 7, and before I go to bed, I used to dream of having these businesses, like think about having these businesses like florists and beauty salons. And I suppose it just sort of went from there. And then in secondary school, I suffered really bad with anxiety. No root cause or anything like that. I just got it really bad. And I suppose it was then I was sort of like, I want to sort of create a job for myself that I can have the bit of flexibility. And, you know, because the anxiety really did take over my life. And I suppose I just didn't want that added pressure from an employer.
Right.
And then, like, as years have gone on now since owning the business, that's really, like, it's helped me.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's so much pressure.
Yeah, but it's the pressure that you're creating for yourself, essentially.
Exactly, yeah.
Because it's something that like you've poured yourselves into. So that kind of stress and pressure, it's not like you're running around doing something for somebody else. If that kind of makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah. So that's where it's sort of I was sort of then set on doing that.
And so this course that you studied, what is the course? And so it's mostly focused on people who want to become entrepreneurs. Is that it?
Yeah, well, it's called Entrepreneurship and Business Management, and obviously you're going into any other college course, you don't know huge amount until you sort of experience it. So 6 weeks in, we had to set up a stalled project in Marley Park, and we both had to come up with an idea of something to sell. So we done a practice run where we were put into groups in our college class.
So these were groups that you didn't select.
Yeah,
had
they
no
just
control
like
over.
literally. I think it was like all ones go over this side of the room, all twos. Like it was literally like that kind of like vibe of setting
That's
it up.
kind of like more of what you'd see in The Apprentice.
Yeah.
People who you would never go into business
exactly.
with. Yeah.
So we were both put into groups that I suppose weren't really that serious about it. Like Ellen's group, the guy who was running it wanted to do sell arm wrestles on the day.
He was like on the senior cup team, I think, in Blackrock or something, and he was like a prop, so he was huge. And like I was saying, like, oh, we could do like order in Domino's or do something like that and sell pizza or whatever. And he was just like, they were like, no, it's too stressful. And I was like, okay, well, what are we going to do? We have to do something. People are going to come in and have to buy something. And they're like, look, he's really big, like no one will be able to beat him in an arm wrestle. We'll do them for 20 cents. And I was like, okay, so anyways, I brought in the money to order the pizza just in case, like, you know, if all was to go to fail. And it was like 40 minutes before the thing happened. I was like, we can order the pizza now, you know, I have the money, whatever. And they're like, no, we'll do the arm wrestle for 20 cents. So they tore out like a refill pad page and was like, arm wrestle. You couldn't even see it on the lined paper. It was awful. And like, I remember the lecturer coming around and was like, what's this? And they were all like, oh, it's arm wrestles for 20 cents.
And my group then decided just to bake cakes and sell them. So me and Ellen were driving home that day and we were like, no, we're not happy with this. Like, we don't want to do this for Marley Park. So we're like, well, what are we both passionate about? And we like, both of us had part-time jobs. Ellen was babysitting, I was working in the local shop. And we said we both love fashion accessories and we're students, so we need affordable fashion accessories. So we went up to a local supplier that's close to home to us and just bought like a small selection of accessories and sold them on the day in Marley Park Market, and they all sold out.
So, but did your teams was like arm wrestle guy and cake team not being like, what are you doing? Like, why aren't you with us anymore? Or
no, because I think then for the real thing, the lectures allowed you pick your own group.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so we kind of went up and we like made it our business to go up to the lecturer and be like, can we be in a team?
We want to take this seriously.
Just in case they were to put people together again. And she's go, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. The next one you get to choose who you get to be with. So we were like, okay, thank God. So yeah, when we knew that, then we were able to kind of brainstorm some ideas. And I suppose the one thing that we always did was treat ourselves as the customer. And as we've grown, the business has grown with us. So like back then, like the model is completely different, like the logo and everything is completely changed from what it initially was, which is nice to see. Like we were looking back the other day of like a picture of us and it's just basically a prop up table with like this cerise pink like velvet crushed like throw with all these neon things and like the two of us standing there with the logo on a poster like and now like to where we are, it's just like so nice to see like the kind of progression and the growth in the business.
I don't even know if we've named the business. Glitz and Pieces.
Yeah, Glitz and
Pieces. Let's keep saying that throughout the entire like Glitz and Pieces. We said it at the beginning. Did you come up with that name straight away? Or?
Oh God,
no,
the name
took
was
us very long.
Oh,
so
really?
long.
Yeah.
So like the first time that you guys were there then in Marley Park with the stall and you were together and you had your stock,
We had all the branding. Like that was one thing that we did. We got the money to buy the stock, but we also set money aside to get posters made and the setup, like neck busts and throws. And that was with no guarantee that it was going to be a success. But we knew that if people want to buy into our brand, it's going to need to look professional.
Top-notch,
you can't just put it on a table and expect. We just knew that it had the correct neck busts, the correct display, that people would walk by and it would catch their eye. So before we had any guarantee of like actually progressing it to the online site, we did kind of
invest our little wages.
And were you guys
into it.
nervous when people were kind of coming up then? Would you say that, because I mean, I think like starting a business is one thing, but like having that kind of in-person sales ability is definitely a skill as well. So being like,
no, I wouldn't
this
say
would look great on you.
Yeah,
Please buy it. And they'd be like, no, it's like, okay, no worries. Go. That's what I would be like. I'd be like, okay, bye. I'm so sorry. This is why I would be a terrible
I wouldn't
business
say we
owner.
were nervous then, because we had nothing to lose. We were in college and we had our part-time jobs. So we were just like, we spent literally whatever we earned in our part-time jobs just doing up the little display. So we had nothing really to lose, I suppose, because we were so young. We were only 19. And then when we sold all the stock in Marley, that's when we said to ourselves, let's use this money to invest in a very cheap website. And that's when it just skyrocketed.
So it was literally that one kind of success essentially where you sold all the stock and then you were like, okay, well obviously there's appetite for this. You were thinking of yourselves as the customer as always, and you went, okay, we need to take this online. So you called up a web developer and just
that's it. We went on to Google, we searched like web developers, and obviously with our budget we didn't have much, so we just went with like the best price. And even when he called out to our house, he burst out laughing because he was like, are you serious? Because we were only 19.
Yeah, we were only 19. And people would be like saying to us, because we were so young, and be like, oh my God, you're so young to be starting a business. And I remember being thinking like, I'm 19, like I'm an adult now.
well,
secondary
legally,
school.
absolutely.
Yeah, like, but then I look back and like, I'm 25, Grace is 24, she'll kill me if I say that she's 25, And was like looking back, I'm like, yeah, we were only 19, and people were like, you need to capitalise that you're 19 on your own business, and we were like, it's not a big deal, like.
I think it's because people will look at it more on like, but I think, you know, what you were saying about not having anything to lose, that probably helped you guys out.
Yeah, 100%. Looking back now.
because when you say about earlier on, you were talking about the business plan and everything from like a small loan or going to the banks or like getting the business registered, like all of these things are huge things that people, once they're starting up a business, go through, and it takes a long time. But you guys just went for it.
And like when we did do the website, we needed a little bit more money to invest in it. And I remember doing the figures, and I said to Ellen, we just need €300 from somewhere to get us over this little hump of, you know, investing in the website. So we had no experience whatsoever.
Like
and
none. I've never had a proper job. Like babysitting was as far as it got.
So we had to go to the bank to get some sort of funding. So I was like, Ellen, we're going to go to this bank and we're going to try get this €300 to get our site up and running. And we went into the bank and met with a loan advisor, and he was like, okay, girls, how much are you looking for? And I said, we need €300. And when I mean, he broke down laughing. And me and Ellen were looking at each other being like, what's so funny? And he was like, girls, you're trying to set up a business with €300. Like, you're going to need at least $2,000 to start it up. And we were like, oh gosh, no, like we won't be able to repay that.
Like $2,000 was like
huge to us then. And I suppose when we did get that loan, we spent that $2,000 like really wisely, because it was a big deal to us. And I'll never forget
that $2,000 lasted us ages.
It's so funny.
It's
bank
mad.
officials shouldn't be laughing at you, by the way. Just saying.
But it was funny. Like,
I'd say he was just kind of like a bit shocked he'd never like experienced.
That he'd never experienced.
I don't think that's also 300. Like, I don't think banks lend that.
No, they don't.
They don't. That's why he was laughing.
Yeah, it was probably like, girls, I was thinking along more the lines of $2,000, and I remember just looking at Grace going, oh God,
what would we do with $2,000?
Like,
go on holiday.
We were just like, oh my God. But I suppose like from like our kind of humble beginnings and like being so young, and you know, we always try to get the most out of everything that we did. So like social media was huge to us. And when we started at a time when the blogging industry was only like really, really beginning. So we made really good connections and still have really good connections with a lot of the bloggers in Ireland. So they helped to get the brand, like, the awareness around and stuff. So
we've no budget for advertising.
Yeah, no budget for advertising. Like,
and
literally
then at the same time, like, so after all of this happened, or when you kind of decided on doing it, you were still in college, right?
Still in college, and you know, we'd be in our lectures replying to emails and trying to keep an eye on the slideshows and what was going on. And I suppose all our projects then throughout the 4 years in college was based on Glitz and Pieces.
It's so interesting because you were basically having that practical
Yeah.
work at the same time as learning about it
Yeah.
as well.
It was quite difficult though, because other people in our class could choose any company, I suppose, to do their projects on, and
There was,
we
like,
always chose ours. But it was difficult to extract the information when it's yours.
When it's yours, because every other would have like all this like
statistics
and everything, and endless amount of information that to be able to get on the internet. And we were just like a brand new business, like started in Marley Park Market, you know, just the two of us, you know. So it was hard, but definitely, like, because we didn't have the experience, it taught us so much about our business, like things that we, you know, like, are
invaluable that you'd never learn off anybody else.
And the stats were like kind of being formulated as you were probably taking them for like college projects as well, when more emails were coming in and more orders were being booked and stuff like that. So it was probably like kind of exciting as well to see all that happen.
The office and the stock was in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And then when we got to second year, we had to move into Ellen's house.
Was that the Erasmus year? Some people went on Erasmus, or people did placement, and we were lucky enough to do the placement on ourselves. And I think right before that, at the end of second year, my mum and dad have an extension in the house, and my sister was just finishing like the Leaving Cert, and I had finished the Leaving Cert, so we had this room that we used for studying that was kind of just empty, that my mum was it was nearly becoming like a dumping ground. So we cleared it out, painted a wall pink and white, and did it all up and moved in there. And for the 6 months, that's where we worked, like, on the business for the.
And were people in your course jealous of you guys? Because
I don't think so.
That's what they said anyway.
They probably thought we were nuts.
Yeah, they were
I mean, to be honest, if it was me, I would be like, they're doing what I want to do. If I was in a course like that, you know, and you guys did it really early on. At any point did your lecturers kind of be like, you know, maybe you should slow down a little bit and learn a little bit more?
No, they were. No, they were.
And did you guys ever think to stop going to college? And
yes.
Oh.
After, I think, third year, like, was kind of the business had really seen like a big soar. It was our best year, like, it was 2017, wasn't it? 2016, 2017. And the business was really, really soared, and college obviously was getting more intense, you know, the modules and the workload, loads of work and everything that was becoming more serious, and then trying to juggle that was definitely like very difficult.
I remember saying to each other, like, you know, will we just stop now and continue on with the business? And then we were looking at it like we have a year left and we could get our degree, and you know, no one can take that away from you. So we stuck it out till the end, and it was very rewarding then when we did, because we both got an honours degree, and at our graduation we received an inaugural award for outstanding achievement by Olivia Burke's parents, Paul and Paula Burke. Olivia was sadly in the Berkeley tragedy, and she was a year ahead of us in college. Not that we knew her personally, but she was in a year ahead of us. So the college, we were the first people to win this award.
Wow,
so
I didn't know that
really,
that was probably one of the like
highlights.
Highlights. Like, it was really, really special, like, because they had done the whole ceremony and everything was announced, and loads of people got the academic year award and everything, and then they did like the talk. And my mum says that when the lecturer, the head of the course, got up and she started to say a few words, that like both our moms like were like, oh, I think this is them, like, or whatever. Me and Grace were just sitting there like didn't even know. Just sitting there. And the next thing was hear Ellen Weber and Grace Sullivan, so we didn't even hear what like we got to be said about us, but that, like, all I just remember our names being called out,
and then our parents bursting out crying, including our dad.
Our dads, like, what we say are like our poppagers. Like, Grace's dad is constantly giving her information, like, advice, and my dad would be the exact same. Like, I think
it would be the moms because of the fashion.
But it's the dads.
They're so interested in it.
So, like, my dad comes home and sometimes I'd be absolutely wallfall, and I'm like, I'm so tired. And he'd be like, yeah, so 21 questions. And I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, yeah, it's really good. And he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, oh, forgot that he hasn't heard it yet, so I have to give him, like, they're so supportive, like, they're
And,
brilliant.
like, even when we came home from the first, like, few weeks in college, and we were like, we're setting up a business, and they were looking at us like, They never once said, no, you shouldn't do that, you should focus on college. They never once said that, and they never once gave us like money or anything. They just let us do it ourselves because they knew, you know, that's the best way.
They were
need to learn
probably thinking
themselves.
like, well, the girls are going to the bank for 300 euros. Should we stop them? Should we like maybe let them know that this might not be the
But
best?
we were so
But you did all the decisions and everything you did. You guys did yourselves,
Yeah.
which is incredible.
Like, and we're both very intuitive. Like, we'd always go with our gut. Like, even though taking on Arnott's, you know, it was a huge step from where we were to take.
How did the Arnott's thing? Because just in case anybody like doesn't know about this, so you guys are in Arnott's now.
Yeah, Arnott's department
as well
store.
as Brown Thomas too.
Yeah.
So, like, how did that come to be? Was that something that you guys ultimately wanted in the business plan, or
So
if you had one?
We finished college.
Yeah.
And we outgrew Ellen's office.
Yeah.
So we could barely open the door with the
Yeah, it was
stock.
so bad.
So we had to say to ourselves, look, we need a premises. And then we were like, oh God, I don't know if we can, you know, go into a lease. We're still really young, you know. So we
this was
took the risk.
making the leap to
Yeah.
actually
Yeah,
get
that
your
was
own
probably
shop.
the bit that before Arnott's, that was probably the
biggest
first
thing,
commitment that we made. And
that we'd have to pay rent for 2 years on our 2-year lease, decorate the office. And we did find a really nice premises close to home in Rathfarnham Village, and we opened our HQ there. And I suppose that was huge because we had to sign the lease, pay the rent and everything. And we were there a few months, and the industry online started getting really competitive.
Yeah.
For fashion accessories.
Yeah, I think 2018 and 2019 to date probably have been our most challenging years online.
And that's
it's
just because of the amount of competitors coming up and doing like a similar thing.
Yeah,
that you guys
when
are
we
doing.
started, I think I can count the amount of people who were the same line of industry, Irish SMEs, on in my 3 fingers. Do you know that way?
it's
Not
just
even on my
blown up
not
now.
even on my hand. Like it's just blowing up now.
So that's when we sort of said to ourselves in the office, we need to sort of, you know, revisit our business model because we need to do something sort of different. So that's when we sort of said, what about doing a pop-up shop?
Yeah.
You know, for the Christmas period. So I remember we lashed out a load of emails, not even thinking anything else of it, because we were still so busy trying to run online.
Yeah, and then we were like trying to expand into boutiques around Ireland, and we got like stockists like, you know, Lucy Mecklenburgh from The Only Way is Essex, like she stocked our accessories and stuff and things like that. So then like the pop-up shop, and like as Greg said, we just like sent out a ton of emails as well as trying to get into boutiques and stuff.
And then
So you were sending them out to like department stores
department
as
stores,
well.
yeah. And then the phone rang one day, and I didn't even think twice of it, and it was from the lovely Audrey in Arnott's, and she said, would you like to come in and meet me and, you know, go through maybe talks of a pop-up shop? So we went in, and we met Audrey, and we showed her the product, and she was like, yeah, I think this could work for 6 weeks. So
that meeting went really, really well. Like,
Really
we
well.
went in kind of thinking like, oh, we won't hear back from them, and it was more or less like after that meeting it was like, okay, well, this is the breakdown plan of when we're planning on having you in. And me and Grace left that meeting being like, oh my God, we did not think we were going to walk out of that and be kind of discussing a launch.
Yeah.
So that was really, really
that was
exciting.
really good. And then Audrey took us in with her wing and under her wing, and like she really, I look at Audrey as a mentor. One of the first mentors we ever had, because we had no experience in a field of a shop, and she had, you know, standards, and you know,
so
she
much
really just
experience
put
in
us
other
into
shops.
line, and how, you know, really helped us on how to get the brand to where we wanted to be in the
There's
store.
something as well, I think, about someone who's working for like a big department store like that, say that is that like bricks and mortar type shop.
Yeah.
But then like appreciating and acknowledging that there's a huge online business and a huge online market out there as well, and incorporating that in to what like Arnott's has already can only really work.
Yeah.
And,
because
like,
it's working for both fields.
I don't think we could have like opened in a better department store.
Yeah,
Like Arnott's is, it's the shop that it is today because of the like the running and the team that they
management
have,
of
the
it,
management
yeah.
they have within it, and we love being in there. Like, you know, we never got to meet customers, and now we do.
So it's
and
like face to face.
yeah, it's brilliant.
And we've learned so much about the business then, because when we did go into Arnott's, it was for 6 weeks. So we opened on the 31st of October 2018, and it was to run till Christmas Eve. So that was 56 days. So myself and Ellen worked 56 days straight at 10 hours shifts.
Jesus.
So we thought
we wanted to do it because we were like, we want to be in there, we want to hear what the customers are saying.
So we learned so much.
And then we
That's
were like,
mental now.
And we
know,
were
it
like,
was. Looking
yeah,
back,
it was nuts. And we were like, right, then when it comes to Christmas, we can just like die. Like, you know, we can just go home and just vegetate and kind
We're
of
packing
like
up shop on the 24th of December. And we had to take on staff then as well. So as well as us working them hours, we had to take on staff. So we took on 3 girls, and they were great, and we learned so much about our business by doing them 56 days straight.
So you were absolutely knackered.
Oh,
though.
Christmas
Day
like,
came and
slept. Both of us slept.
So just
never in my
before,
life.
actually, was it just before Christmas?
Yeah, we got asked.
Audrey
then
then said,
down.
you know, would you like to stay on? And we were like,
Well, not right now, Audrey, because I have to go and have a nap. But maybe like
So
after Christmas.
we just said, look, we have to take this opportunity.
Yeah.
So we did. So we had 1 day off after Christmas, and you know, I remember
back
Audrey
in.
saying, "Are you guys refreshed?" And we were like, "No."
Audrey's gas.
Yeah, she's
Audrey's great.
I know you were saying
Yeah.
about January and stuff like that, but I wanted to ask you a little bit about that and about the stock that you actually do go and buy. So, like, way back, you were saying that, you know, it was a passion that you both had for fashion accessories, and that's where this all kind of started from. So I don't know if you know, but you kind of finish each other's sentences.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like you literally do. It's
Some people say as well that like, are you like, somebody replied, I think I put up a picture of the both of us on my Instagram story, and so it was like, business partners, you're now morphing into the same person.
like you honestly
People
do, you
actually-
finish each other's sentences, which is great because you're so on the same. But I was going to ask, do you ever like butt heads or clash on
No.
stock?
No.
Oh no.
We get asked that a lot, you know, how do you guys work together? You're
Yeah.
like, you're friends. That doesn't work. And we're both so different.
Yeah, very
That's how it
seem-
works.
I'm just-
yeah, no, great.
you do. When it comes to the business, you're obviously very
Business
much on
heads,
the same.
we're
Yeah.
business head, like, we're both 2 completely different people. And I mean, I get very stressed, and Ellen really just takes me down a notch.
Yeah.
And you need that.
It's a balance.
It's a balance, and that's how it works.
Yeah.
But like, our friends would be like, oh, or any family would be like, oh, how do you work with each other? Like, because we literally went from college together to
Yeah.
into the new job to get like into working full time together and everything. And people are like, do you not get like, how do you work so closely together? But like, it really is, when we're working together, I don't talk to Grace about like
Social life.
did you buy something at the shop? You know, we don't.
It's just work.
It's just work. And then Friday comes, and it's like we could be getting a takeaway, and we'd be like, I have so much to talk about because we
Yeah.
haven't talked about that in work. Like, it is when Grace calls me, we're just like, how are things? And I'm like, it's not even that like, oh yeah, so I was in Zara last night and I bought a dress or whatever. It's like, how are things? I know she's talking business, like how are things in work. Do you know that way? So that's, I suppose, how the relationship.
But
like,
it's also
so really
amazing that
good.
you guys kind of found that partnership while you were in college, and you didn't go and work anywhere else.
No.
While
And
this
a lot of
business
people
was
said
taking
that
off.
to
Yeah, a lot of
us.
people said you should
You need to go and get experience and
experience.
working in a big firm and everything like that. And, you know,
Because presumably this took a little while before it became profitable.
Yeah.
At the very
oh gosh,
beginning.
yeah, it took about
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
So anything we got in, we just invested straight back
back
into our
in.
business. And that's how it worked.
And now you guys have staff. I think you have like 6 employees now. Isn't
9
that right?
now.
Yeah,
You've got 9 now. So presumably you're obviously you're paying their wages. But at the very beginning, if you're investing everything back in, you guys weren't even paying yourselves.
No, not
No,
for the
not,
first
not,
2 years.
not for the
That's
first
a year
2
and a
years.
half, 2
Yeah,
years,
and like we got to a stage where we were just kind of like, okay, we're gonna have to start taking stuff. And even at that,
Yeah.
it wasn't
No,
like
we
it
weren't
was.
greedy.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
We weren't greedy. Like, I mean, it could have been like, you know, 50 or a week at some time. You know, because we were in
Yeah.
college, like we were budgeting ourselves, and we were kind of thinking like, if we want this to work, we're going to have. You have to be
Yeah.
tight, and you have to be kind of crunching the figures. And again, in saying that, like taking on Arnott's, it's like nearly, and Brian Thomas, it's like a whole new business because we're nearly, it feels like at the moment that we've started again.
Yeah.
So because you're taking on staff,
You're running
new
3
insurances,
businesses,
Yeah.
effectively.
new like all different things, packaging that you never had to have before, like
And you still have all the online.
all
Yeah.
the online stuff. So
Yeah.
once Arnott's came about and Brian Thomas, like we have had to take a step back again.
To grow it again.
So that's, I suppose that's where our passion comes from, because even though we're like taking a step back or cutting our wages in order to grow the business to where we want to, but like we're so passionate about it, and I suppose like our visions are so clear of where we want to go, that that's what drives you to keep going.
Absolutely.
It's definitely not money. Like, it wouldn't be money for us, because if it was money, then, you know, we wouldn't be taking on the new opportunities that we have, because you do have to make the sacrifice for yourself to move forward.
And so did the same thing kind of happen then with Brown Thomas as it happened with Arnott's?
No, so Brown Thomas approached us via email.
Wow.
So we were really taken aback by that, because we weren't...
It was a tough time as well, that we were like, we had made a kind of bad move and kind of launching something, and it just kind of set us back a little bit.
Yeah.
And we were it was a really, really stressful time. Like, we were kind of like not sleeping properly, and we just constantly felt run down and tired and not motivated, and like I was, you know, it was really, really tough. And then Grace was just rang me, and she's like, I don't know whether to laugh or to cry. And I was like, what? And she sounded so serious. I remember like, oh, Jeannie Mac, like, what is it now? Like, what like has gone wrong? And she's like, no. And I was like, what, Grace? And she's like, no, it's good. I can't believe we got this email in. And I was thinking, is it from like, you know, some financial advisor? Like, who's it from? And she goes, we got an email in from Brown Thomas. And I was like, what? And I was just so emotionally exhausted. But I just was in Arnott's. I was in the back room, and I just broke down.
Yeah, she just broke down.
I broke down
crying.
and bawled, cried, and I was like, I can't believe it, because I remember like we had done like Ireland's Best Young Entrepreneur or whatever, and we had pitched or whatever, and on the slideshow like we had Brown Thomas and Selfridges, because Arnott's is owned by the Selfridges group, and you know that would be, you know, if your goals don't scare you, they're not big enough. And I remember somebody saying to us like, oh, Brown Thomas now, I don't know if that would be, you know, your kind of thing. And now,
But it's incredible, because I can see like the passion when you're talking about it as well, about how much that meant to you. Presumably Grace was able to tell you more about it after you stopped crying.
She's like, I can't believe it. And then she sent me a picture of her in the car crying. I was like, I don't know what to be doing.
So you were both crying, but basically they got in touch with you because they wanted you to come in and kind of meet with them and do
a 6-week pop-up in Limerick. And it was great, because Limerick, because we've the Arnott's store in Dublin, Limerick is great because we can see online a lot of our customers come from Limerick.
Yeah.
So it was brilliant opportunity, and we went into Brown Thomas HQ and had the meetings and went through all the formalities and everything like that. And we came home, crunched the figures, and we decided, let's do this.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of said there about, you know, a little thing happened and it was like a step back, but then obviously getting a phone call like that was
so
a huge
you have
leap
your bad
forward.
weeks, and then you get like good outcomes like that, and then you're just like, okay, it is worth it. You know, because you do get very emotionally attached, which we both need to sort of work on, is not getting too emotionally attached with business.
But also I would say, like, even the way you were talking about being kind of a little bit drained by it as well, if you're working for yourself about something that you're so passionate about, and there's, you know, 24 hours in the day, like, you guys have to tell yourselves to stop working at a certain time as well. And then just like not.
It's really hard.
Like I'd wake up at 4 a.m, reply to emails.
Yeah, because online is people want the answers yesterday. Like they really do. Like, and I'd be the same. Like, it's just so accessible. There's no kind of like online, you know, you would never, I suppose, text somebody past a certain time, like, no, it's too late to call somebody, they're probably too tired. But online, it nearly seems like it's 24/7, so it's fine, because you could be on Instagram and somebody else would be posting a picture, do you know that way? So you could just private message that, you know, so there's kind of no stopping in that sense.
So would you say that you do have a good kind of work-life balance? No.
Definitely not at the moment.
Not at the moment.
The thing is, though, because you guys are so young as well, like, it's not a startup anymore. It's been around for 5 years? 6 years?
6 years in October.
But I mean,
where's that gone?
I know. It's a bit scary, like.
Your face just literally.
I know, when people say 6 years, I'm like, whoa, that is a long time.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously it's all working towards, like you said, what the goal is, what the ultimate goal is.
And like, we have a lot of respect for Donald, who's the CEO of Arnott's and Brown Thomas, because it takes a lot for department stores like that to put their trust in us. We were only 24, you know, and
as a really small SME, like Irish business,
and to give us that opportunity, like, we will be forever grateful.
Do you feel like people in the business community don't take you seriously because of your age? And
I think
I know
what-
that you're getting older now, but like you're still only 24,
I definitely
25.
think when we first started out, when we were 19, we went to like networking lunches and networking dinners, and I just remember like talking to, you know, people and stuff, and not so much that there was kind of like, I think just a general kind of like whoever you would kind of like, not, you know, from a lot of people, you kind of be thinking like, yeah, let's see how long this is going to last. You know, there was not so much of a seriousness. But I suppose looking back on the model then, I can see why, because we were only 19, the way the brand, like everything, it was kind of like, oh God, you know, see how this lasts. But it's just...
But now you feel like you're not getting that as much.
No.
That's good.
No, and last night we actually just won an award for highly commended Fashion Accessories Retailer of the Year.
Congratulations.
With the Independent Retail Award. So we were delighted with that. So like you get things like that. You know, we make bad moves in business. Everybody does. And yes, it's got us down because you sort of kick yourself down. Like it was our fault for doing stupid moves or investing into that. And then you get things like the Brown Thomas opportunity, the award last night, and it just
makes everything
makes
worth
everything
And it's hard as well when you own your own business, because you're seeing other people who own their own business and you're like, oh my God, they look like they're doing amazing. And we seen a quote the other day that like you're doubting you're constantly doubting yourself and comparing yourself to somebody else's success, when in actual fact there's probably people looking at you doing the exact same. So we tried to, like, we were doing that a lot, like especially through 2017, 2018, when we were like, that was a really bad year of like online sales, and we kind of were constantly looking at other people like, oh my God, they look like they're flying, like what are we doing wrong? So then we kind of were like, no, look, we need to like stop doing that, because we're putting our energy into that, and we're strong believers what you put out into the world, like will come back. And if you're constantly focusing on like negatives and seeing negative, like you're only going to have negative energy. You're not going to be able to drive it.
It's funny because for such a young business as well, when you think of like in the grand scheme of things, like 5 years, you moved from pure online sales into this kind of pop-up shop element, because you saw that this is what the business needed in order to keep evolving.
So we used to source all our stuff from suppliers in Ireland and the UK and America, and then, you know, the industry got so saturated. So we said, what are we going to do? We had to start designing our own products. So that's when we brought in our leather range of goods, where we designed the products.
Amazing.
Just to give that little bit of uniqueness. So we're trying to get into that element of designing everything. But obviously it takes an awful lot of investment and an awful lot of time. So you can only do it in baby steps.
Yeah. And I suppose as well, like you never necessarily know where a business is going to go once you've started it. And like I don't know whether 5 years ago you would have thought that you would be in Brown Thomas and Arnott's in like a pop-up kind of form, as well as all the online stuff as well. So if you were to look to the future and kind of where you would see yourselves going, or where you see the business evolving, where would that be in the next kind of few years as well?
I suppose now that we've got a taste of Arnott's and Brown Thomas, we've set the sort of bar for ourselves now. So we would be aiming to go into stores like that in the UK and in Europe. That's where we're sort of
And like I was
for.
on the way to work saying branded Lewis drove by me. I'd love a pink Lewis.
She wants a pink Glitz and Pieces Lewis.
I keep seeing it. I'm like, I want one of them. I want a pink Lewis. Like, I just see it all the time.
And also,
very random, like a 5-year plan, but I'd love like if I see a pink Lewis.
That's a goal. Get it. Get that goal.
Yeah, like lots of people say to us like, oh, do you want your own shop? And when we first started, we were like, oh, we'd love a Glitz and Pieces shop. And I think we did college projects and we were like, had to do of what we'd see happening in 2 or 3 years' time after college. We're like, oh yeah, we'll move into our own shop.
I think shops are so difficult. Like,
oh
my
like,
God,
it'd be like it's business suicide sometimes
is,
when people go into it. Like even when
no.
you were mentioning The Only Way is Essex and stuff, didn't they all have
They
that?
all- and then they all
failed.
fail online.
Yeah, they're all online now.
They all failed.
Yeah, it's just, I suppose now being an Arnott's like and Brown Thompson stuff, you just see that it actually is the overheads and the kind of the risk and the more security, I suppose, in like something like that is much better than having the shop.
A little boutique.
Because retail's going through a really, like both online I think and like in store premises, like going through a really weird time. Like,
it is going through a weird
like,
time. I'm not entirely sure what's happening.
Yeah,
but
it's odd because like, you know, Topshop, you know, like brand, like big department
you see big
stores,
departments like that closing down some of their stores, and you're like, you know.
Yeah, it's just weird.
I
so.
think people are like being more selective with what they buy in general, and that's not a bad thing as well.
no.
But at the same time, like, you know, you guys even moving more into design and moving into creating your own kind of labels and stuff like that as well is only going to help it, because obviously people, if they are buying online now, you know, they want to buy something that is almost bespoke and that they're not going to see every single person in.
Exactly. Like I suppose, like over the Christmas when we do the phone cases and they're personalised and they have our logo and stuff, and before when we were just like sourcing accessories and things that we weren't necessarily designing, you'd be like, oh, that kind of looks like the bag, but you know, you would be afraid, you know, that somebody, another boutique maybe somewhere else might have had the same bag or whatever. Even though we tried our best to source really unique pieces, you just kind of weren't like, you didn't have that kind of 100% clarity that it was your product. And I remember being in town and there was a group of girls outside on Henry Street and they all had our phone case, and I remember being like, oh, that is our phone case. Like, I'm not actually questioning. No. And I remember I was on another night out, like in the bathroom, and I was like, oh my God, I love your phone case. Like, yeah, I got it in Ireland. So I was like, oh wow, I must go with you. No, I never told people. Oh my God, I'm mortified. Even if somebody,
I would be like, that's mine. Can I get a picture with it?
Even when like some people be coming up and be like, oh my God, I love your handbag. Like, we do a personalised bag, and oh my God, I love your handbag. Where'd you get it? I'm like, oh, it's from a company called Glitz. I don't know. I just get mortified. I just always just kind of like,
and like my mum be like, she actually
go look at them.
My mum be like, she owns it. I'm like, Mum, don't say that. Like, stop saying
and that's
that.
Like our parents are always like, Gina Mac, you really like undersell yourselves. Like, you know, not that we like to be going around bragging, but like when sometimes my dad, like, I'd be in the company, like, and it's just like an accessory company or whatever. My dad's like, you didn't tell them you're in Ireland, so you didn't tell them. Like, I'm like, I know, because like I don't want to be like, oh yeah, this is me, whatever. But
I feel like that might be a bit of an Irish thing though. Like we're all kind of like that as well.
Yeah.
But it's good to shout about it as well though, because you've come like on an incredible business journey from like your college kind of startup thing. Thank God you didn't invest in the arm wrestling business. Although you never know, maybe that prop is doing really well for itself now. I've never seen a stall where you can buy an arm wrestle. Wouldn't really be my thing, but so no, it's really incredible to have met you guys. I've followed you for a long time. So before I let you go, because I'm aware that I've kept you for ages, would you give any advice, or what would the advice be that you would give to young people, maybe people who are doing the same course that you did, that are maybe not as confident? Because it feels like what happened to you happened very naturally and almost organically. It wasn't like you sat down one day and said, this is the business that we're going to have. It just came about through a few different things that, you know, you could say it's fate or whatever you want to say. And then obviously it started.
Yeah, a lot of people do say, you know, oh, you're so lucky you have this. And I'm like, no, there's no such thing as luck in business. It's pure hard work. So like advice to anybody who is starting out, just be prepared to really work hard, because that's what gets your success. It really does.
And passion. Like us, we didn't reinvent the wheel. Like it was fashion accessories. You know, it was something that we both absolutely loved and we 100% believed. And you know, people would be coming in and asking our USP and stuff. And you know, we would come up with like kind of what our USP was because of our passion. You know, like that, you just, once you're passionate about something, because you do have to put in tedious amount of times and hours, and you're working so hard. Like, you know, it's not like on a Friday you're like, oh, finish early on a Friday, like 4 o'clock finish, let's go. Like you could
Grace,
work.
you said that so like weekend. As if you haven't seen a weekend. I haven't. I haven't.
What is that?
As if like you haven't seen a weekend in 5 years.
I haven't.
Weekend.
So like it is, you know, like it is that kind of that commitment, but like I love what I do, so I wouldn't change it. Like you know, I'm happy. So you have to have that passion. You have to be behind it for the right reasons. So definitely, just if you're really, really passionate about something, like your passion will push it, like 100%. Like especially like with the Leaving Cert just coming out, and people might have been disappointed. Like myself and Grace failed a subject in our Leaving Cert. And you know, that didn't like stop us or whatever. Like we knew what we wanted to do, and we've done it. So like we're not there where we want to be.
We're not even halfway through what we want to do yet.
But like it definitely is our passion what keeps us going. So like just your passion.
Well, Glitz and Pieces, let us know. Tell us exactly where everybody can go to find all of your incredible accessories.
So you can
Arnett's and Brown Thomas, of course, which we've spoken about.
So we're in Brown Thomas Limerick for 6 weeks. so you can find us there. Arnott's, we are on the ground floor, and online, of course, www.glitzandpieces.com.
And you guys are on Instagram as well.
We're on Instagram.
Yeah.
We be really active on our Instagram page and our Facebook page. And we
love
sort
to
of share
see-
our story a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit behind the scenes when we get a chance to,
Yeah,
obviously.
it's a lovely story. I think it's great to hear the stories behind business ventures, especially women in business as well. So I'd say a lot of people really like to hear it. So it's nice that you guys
it's-
share that as well.
Yeah, it's really, really, like, we always find it really reassuring when we go to, like, especially, like, the award ceremony, like, speaking to like-minded people, like, who own their own business, to realise that everybody is, like, you know, in the same boat. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
nobody is kind of has an easy, like, sale,
No,
like, whatever,
yeah.
so.
Well, Grace and Ellen, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
in.
so
You
much.
pumped me up. I want to go and like make my own business now. But I also really like my weekends.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I have the stamina, but it was an absolute pleasure having
Thank you
in.
so much,
And
so
I
much.
can't wait to see where it goes. It's going to be incredible.
Thank you.